Welcome to this webinar on stress management and happiness hypothesis. I am Dr. Manish Pandey. I am working as Senior Professor Rolling Stock in IRITM Lucknow. First of all, I will be giving a brief introduction of mine. I am an RSME officer of 1999 batch, and while in railways, I completed my PhD in mechanical engineering from IIT Kanpur, and I held positions in diesel sheds, divisions and workshops of Northern Railway and in various directorates of RDSO. And I have a work experience of working as ADME, DME in diesel shed Tughlakabad, Senior DME in diesel shed Alambagh in Lucknow, as Senior DME CNW, as Senior DME CNW in Moradabad, as Deputy CME in Jagadi workshop, as Deputy CME in Charbagh workshop. I have worked as a director in Wagon Directorate and the Shrestha wing of RDSO. Then I have worked on promotion in SE grade. I have worked as Chief Works Manager in the Alambagh workshop and the Charbagh workshop. So before starting my lecture or presentation officially, I would like to share two of the graphs. Two of the images I will show, then I will be starting my lecture officially. This one is the stress performance curve. On the x-axis, it is stress or arousal. On the y-axis, it's performance. And this is an inverted U curve. It was devised by one gentleman, Yerkes Dodson. It is known as Yerkes Dodson curve, devised by Robert M. Yerkes Dodson in 1908. So as you can see, this curve performance versus stress curve is inverted U, and up to a certain limit, this stress is beneficial for us. It provides us pleasure as well as motivation. Before this limit, it provides us boredom. If stress is altogether absent there, so this amount of the left side of the curve is the stress which is required for our performance to be enhanced, right? So if the stress in our lives is less than this limit, then we'll be facing boredom in our lives. And there is a certain range of the stress where our performance is peak. And when this stress increases beyond this limit, beyond this degree, then only we start facing chronic stress and the other detrimental effects of our stress, right? So that's why I have used the term stress management in my presentation, not reduction, not stress reduction. I have used stress management because some of the stress, a little amount of stress is required for our performance to be enhanced. And this is the second picture which I wanted to show you before the start of my official lecture. You see, there is an elephant, there is a rider, and they are running on a circular treadmill, and they are looking at some physical things like wealth, money, everything. And they keep running, and it is there away from them. So I will leave it here. We'll be explaining it later. First of all, I would be discussing the preliminaries. Here I will be discussing the neurobiology, endocrinology, some of the psychology, some of the NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, the basics of stress and happiness, the scientific basis of stress and happiness. Being a science student, being a PhD student, I don't believe anything if it is not based on research and scientific basis. Then I will be presenting certain excerpts from the book Behave. It is a very excellent book written by Robert Sapolsky, an American psychologist who has spent 22 years with baboons, with primates in Kenya. Then I will give certain insights on stress management. This is the main portion that I have presented. I will be presenting certain excerpts from 5 sources. These are the 5 books based on years of research. The happiness hypothesis written by Jonathan Haidt. It is unique in the sense it gives a scientific formula for happiness. And it merges the ancient wisdom to the modern scientific research for achieving happiness. Then comes 10% Happier. It is written by Dan Harris, a person who got a panic attack on television in front of millions of people in 2004. And then he come back. He tried everything. He tried manifestation. He tried the spiritual gurus, everything. But finally, he found solace in certain things that I will be presenting to you. Then this Flow, Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi. This book is a very beautiful book, Flow. And very beautifully, astonishingly, it has presented that the most amount of happiness or flow is basically ecstasy, and you don't have any feeling of where you are, who you are, what is the time, and what is your environment. And this book has presented on the basis of research that maximum amount of flow is possible in your work area. In your work area, if you manage your work area properly, you will be able to work in flow and to maintain long-term happiness. Then will come the paradox of choice. Here the author Barry Schwartz has shown that the increased number of choices have increased our depression. I will show you how the author has shown this. And finally, the stumbling on happiness. Here the author Daniel Gilbert shows that our thinking, our imagination for future is flawed and practically flawed. Whenever we think and imagine upon future, that is basically flawed thinking. And finally, I will be giving certain 2 or 3 concluding slides. We will start with the preliminaries. Our brain first. John McLean has presented this 3 brains model in the 1970s, I say. So this is a very simplistic model, but very good for understanding the overall functioning of the brain. Our brain has a history of development of 550 million years. This brain has taken 550 million years to develop in the present shape. So first of all, on the right side, present shape of our brain is given. First of all, the reptilian brain developed. Cerebellum and brainstem, this one. This bottom part, brainstem and cerebellum developed. This is required for maintaining our involuntary activities like our breathing, like our digestion, which was necessary for our survival. Then developed the second layer, which is the limbic brain. This middle part is the limbic brain. It consists basically emotional brain. It consists of thalamus, hypothalamus, pituitary gland, amygdala, hippocampus, and basal ganglia. So these amygdala and hippocampus play a very important role in stress management as well as in happiness. And then developed our modern part, neocortex, our executive mind, our logical mind, brain, our decision-making brain. It consists of 4 lobes. This is the frontal lobe, parietal lobe, and this on the back side it is occipital lobe, and this is the temporal lobe. This portion shown in blue color is the neocortex containing of 4 lobes here and here. So if we see the history of evolution, first of all, cerebellum developed and brainstem for controlling our involuntary activities. Then limbic brain developed for controlling our emotions and experience. And finally, our neocortex, a prefrontal cortex, developed for our decision, thoughts, and knowledge. And the order of development is from old to new. So majority of our evolution, only cerebellum and limbic brain was there. So some of the authors say that this neocortex has been formed to serve these 2 types of brains. We'll be discussing later. And one more thing, the interaction of amygdala and hippocampus. They define the stress level in our brain as well as the happiness level. You can see this is amygdala, small one, and this bigger one is hippocampus. If you are emotionally weak, you are overthinker, you are thinking over, then this amygdala will increase in size. If you take too much stress on yourself, this amygdala will increase size and this hippocampus will shrink in size. And hippocampus is responsible for your memory-based function. Your memory will get weakened. And your decision making is dependent upon your memory. If your memory is weakened, your decision making is weakened. Cerebellum is responsible for our hardwired attitudes, repeated actions, habits, conditioned behaviors, unconscious reflexes, and skills. While the midbrain or the limbic brain is responsible for fight, flight, or freeze or feed response. If a danger comes in our way suddenly, then it's our limbic brain or midbrain which takes action, which takes charge. So either we freeze, either we fight, or either we run away from that situation or the location. One more complexity in the cortex. Our cortex, prefrontal cortex or cortex, is divided into 2 parts. Basically, it consists of a gray matter, the outside matter, which processes the information, and white matter, the inside matter, which transfers the information. This is the left hemisphere, this is the right hemisphere. Left hemisphere is analytical. Whenever we do some analytical tasks like reasoning, ordering, anything, it comes into action. And the right brain is emotional. When you are overthinking, having some experience, it comes into action. And both brains are connected by corpus callosum to maintain the integrity. Basically, these both the hemisphere work in tandem. They work together. This is more elaborate diagram. The left hemisphere controls logic, science, sense of time, and language. And the right emotional brain, it controls creativity, art, intuition, and imagination. None of the hemisphere is good or bad. Both are equally good. Whatever our experience is whatever our belief is, whatever our narrative is about us or others, the complete picture is given by the combination of the two hemispheres. The emotional experience, the tone is given by the right hemispheres, and the logical tone is given by the left hemisphere. The same experience, if we give positive spin by the left hemisphere, the same experience will build positive beliefs for us. It is possible for us to cause positive effect from the same experience by giving it a positive spin using the help of left hand hemisphere. And yes, there is a particle lottery. Particle lottery means, as Jonathan Hayes says, when we born, some of us, this right is strong, more active, so we are more emotional. Some of us are having this left strong, more big, so that we are more analytical. But nothing much to nothing less to worry, because by our behavior, by our practices, by certain practices, we can change the size and activation of these two brains, two hemispheres. These are the 4 lobes of the cerebral cortex, just for your reference. The frontal lobe, it is responsible for personality characteristics, decision making, our movement. The motor cortex resides here. Our speech ability, how we speak, and how we interpret speech is decided by the parietal lobe. Identify objects and understand spatial relationships. The spatial relationships around us is identified by the parietal lobe. It interprets pain and touch in the body. And the sensory cortex, a mini human being, is inside the parietal lobe. It is known as homunculus, because parietal lobe is having the sensory cortex, and the frontal lobe is having the motor cortex. And the third one is the occipital lobe. It is involved with the vision, and temporal lobes plays a role in managing emotions, processing information from our senses, storing and retrieving, because it encapsulates, because the midbrain or the emotional brain is inside this temporal lobe. So that temporal lobe's action is also important in case of emotional responses. And it is also responsible for our hearing senses. Now a bit on neurobiology and endocrinology, because this affects our behavior in a massive way. This is a typical schematic of a neuron. The neuron doesn't actually look like this, but this is a schematic. This is soma, this body, this middle part is known as axon. This is surrounded by myelin sheaths, and this is dendritic structures which are connected. There are 85 billion neurons in our brain. There are 85 billion neurons in our brain. And this is how one neuron is connected to the other neuron. On an average, one neuron in our brain is connected to 1,000 other neurons. 1,000 other neurons. And the information passage is first electrical. Through the neuron, it passes as an electrical signal. Then between the neurons, it is passed through a chemical signal where neurotransmitters are exhibited, from one neuron, are received by the second neuron or other neuron. Say if 1,000 neurons are connected by this neuron, so complex is the transferring of message. Then I will be discussing neuroplasticity. So there was a view that once the brain is formed, we cannot grow our brains, or no, we cannot grow our neurons. We cannot grow our learning capability or memory. So there are three ways when we can say that our brain rewires itself. No matter what our age is, we can still rewire, grow our brain by our experiences, thoughts, and actions. First of the way is synaptogenesis, making new connection. When you learn or repeat an action, the connection synapses between your brain cells strengthen. That's why we say cells that fire together, wire together. The second way, myelination. If this myelin sheets is formed are thickened, the transfer of message through neurons and through all the neurons is fastened. So you can increase your learning capability by increasing the myelination also. And the third one is neurogenesis. By creating new brain cells, it is possible to create new brain cells at any age. At any age. Research has shown this. You can grow your hippocampus at any age. And so your memory building capability can be built up at any age. There is an autonomic nervous system which resides between the central nervous system, brain and spinal cord, and the peripheral nervous system throughout our body. This is a schematic for the autonomic nervous system. So if both systems operate on their own, they are related to our survival mechanism. So when we see a danger, our SNS, which is sympathetic nervous system, it is activated. Our eye dilate, our heart speeds up, lungs ki airways dilates, and stomach inhibits digestion. All our energy is concentrated towards our brain and other muscles, so that we are able to think fast and run fast and combat fast, combat stronger. So whenever we see a danger, this fight or flight response is activated on its own. On the other hand, there is another system, a parasympathetic nervous system, which is known as PNS. This is the rest and digest system. When we are in the relaxed condition, our eye constrict, heart slows down, lungs constricts away, and all our energy, major of our energy is diverted to our stomach, which stimulates digestion. So when we are in this stress, perplexity, then adrenaline pathways are activated. The neural pathways, the neurons which carry adrenaline, those are activated. And when this PNS system, the parasympathetic nervous system is activated, the acetylcholine pathways are activated. The neurons associated with acetylcholine, those are activated. The problem is that in animals, ANS, that is SNS, is activated by immediate threats or physical needs. Either the animal is hungry, or he sees something bigger than itself, which is dangerous to him or it. Then this response will be activated, and it will shut down itself when the danger is averted. In humans, as well as some primates, the problem is that this system, SNS, is also activated through thoughts alone. There is no requirement for any physical threat. We are specialized in activating the system through our thoughts alone. And that is the problem with us, with the humans. Brain and the endocrine system, nervous system, they like a theater production. So I talked about neurotransmitter, which are transmitted through the neurons. Those are the lines spoken by the actors. So two actors, like two neurons, are talking to each other. Neurotransmitters perform the functions of the lines spoken by the actors, while the hormones, they are like the theater's lighting and climate control. Their effect is on a broader scale. They make it easier for the actors to feel heated or cold, and influencing how every single person in the room experiences the scene. They change the complete environment, while the neurotransmitter is limited to the messages between two neurons or two actors. The hormones, they affect the complete system. hypothalamus is a major gland, is a major organ. It secretes certain hormones. It gives messages to pituitary gland. Then pituitary gland in the brain itself, it sends messages to adrenal gland, ovaries, intestine, other organs to secrete certain hormones. And this is the difference between the hormones and the neurotransmitters. The speed hormones act slower, while the neurotransmitter take fraction of seconds to act. Fraction of second. The range of anger, with the anger which you feel instantly, is due to the neurotransmitters. And hormones set up the whole stage. They act slowly. It takes minutes to hours to make them act. And they travel throughout the bloodstream and affecting many targets. The neurotransmitter affect only the succeeding neuron, while the hormones, they affect many organs. And certain hormones like testosterone or cortisol, they work inside the cells and alter the genes which are turned off or on, creating long-lasting changes in our brain and in our nervous system. I will list down certain neurotransmitters and hormones, certain important neurotransmitters and hormones. There are exciting neurotransmitters. Exciting means when we are happy, then also we are excited. When we are in a little bit of tension, only small tension, then also we are excited. So then the glutamate neurotransmitter is transmitted. The neurons connect, the glutamate signature neurons, those are activated. Then dopamine is a neurotransmitter. Some authors call it neuromodulator also. It is responsible for pleasure and reward. This is also activated. When we see certain good thing near us, this dopamine is released. This exciting neurotransmitter is released. And then epinephrine, which is adrenaline, the second name of adrenaline, it is also secreted for a small amount of stress. This is also exciting neurotransmitter. Then there are certain inhibitory neurotransmitter responsible for our parasympathetic nervous system to work. It inhibits us, our responses. It slows us down. It calms us down. GABA is such a neurotransmitter. Serotonin is such a neurotransmitter. And norepinephrine is such a neurotransmitter. It's responsible for attention. When we are attentive and doing something, like some of you will be attentive attending this webinar, norepinephrine would be released in their brain, inside their brain. And there is another neurotransmitter responsible for memory. This is known as acetylcholine. Now moving towards happy hormones. The most important happy hormone is oxytocin, which is responsible for our feelings of attachment and bonding. And there is testosterone, which is responsible for our aggressiveness. And then again adrenaline, which is a neurotransmitter also and a hormone also. Small amount of adrenaline is beneficial for us. Then there are sad hormones. The major is cortisol, which is secreted when we feel fear, anger, disgust, shame, and sadness. Whether we learn a good habit, either we develop a phobia, this long-term potentiation, in short term, LTP is responsible for that. This side, this one, the top one is the presynaptic neuron. This is the neuron which is trying to pass the information or the neurotransmitter to this postsynaptic neuron. This is the second neuron. These are the receptor and these are the neurotransmitters. So it is like doing anything. Maybe this glutamate will be secreted from here, and some of the receptors will be trying to receive this. This is a pre-LTP, long-term potential stage. Stage 2 will come when we do this thing for a certain number of times. One action for a certain number of times. Then the aha moment. Like during this my webinar, some of the moments will be the aha moment for you. Like you must be remembering when your teachers used to teach in your class, at some of the moment, that those were aha moments. You start understanding the things. So when this aha moment comes, this repeated stimulation results in opening of NMDA receptors. These are a specific type of receptors, and once they open, this complete system reopens. There is a flow of calcium inside and changes in the neuron. You see the number of receptors pre-LTP position and the number of receptors post-LTP condition. Now the habit has been developed. Now the habit is developed. Suppose you whenever you enter into a bathroom and go to brush your teeth. So when you do it once, this. When you do it 21 times, this. As you enter your bathroom, you have an urge to do brush because this is activated due to that cue. This pathway will be activated. The neurons that wire together, fire together. Okay, any of the neuron in that association, if it is wired, if it is wired neuron is fired, all of the neurons will be firing. So this was the basis for long-term potentiation. On one side, it is beneficial for learning good habits. On the other side, it is detrimental on learning bad habits, addictions, and also in long-term stresses. So real-life examples of LTP long-term potentiation is memorization of fact. When we repeat something, memorize, this LTP happens. When we learn a new skill, LTP happens. Developing a phobia, LTP happens. Addiction cues. Suppose somebody is alcoholic. He has left alcohol. But if he moves near that street where he used to take the alcohol, those neural pathways will be activated. And he will have a strong urge again to take alcohol. And it has a very prime role while dealing with stress. This LTP has a very prime role in dealing with stress. So the hormones, they regulate the brain. It is a two-way street. The hormones started secretion due to the message for the brain. In turn, they also change the tendency of the brain to respond to future stimulus. It is a two-way street. The brain causes the hormones, certain type of hormones to be secreted, and these hormones in turn cause certain permanent change inside the brain, so that they respond to the stimulus in a different way. So this is the baseline. This figure shows the baseline. A normal activity. Normal activity. Whenever you do something good, the dopamine is released from one neuron and it is recepted, being received by through these receptors to the other neuron. When you enter into short-term stress, the inverted U curve. Remember the inverted U curve, the Yerkes-Dodson curve. In the short-term stress, glucocorticoids are secreted inside the neuron. Nothing but adrenaline. And the amount of dopamine release is increased. And the receptors of dopamine are also increased a bit. For short-term stress, I repeat, for short-term stress, this dopamine release is increased. That's why you feel pleasure and motivation for short-term stress. But if the stress is continued or it exceeds certain limit, then these dopamine receptors are decreased. And the quantity of dopamine is also decreased. So that if you are converting this short-term stress into long-term stress, then your feeling of pleasure will be reduced. You will not be feeling happiness in any of the circumstances, because your receptors as well as the dopamine release, the amount of dopamine released by your neurons is reduced a lot. So understanding one brain is itself very complex. There are about 4,000 type of cells inside the brain. And I say that there are three main brains inside our body. This brain that we have discussed, our gut is itself a brain. There are 1,000 million neurons inside the gut. And the neurotransmitter serotonin, 90% of the serotonin is produced in the gut. So this gut, it works on its own. Sometimes you must have felt that if your gut is not good, you are feeling very angry. You are feeling vexed. You are feeling perplexed. Your gut is not good. And the other way around also. When you are not feeling good, your gut is not good. It's a bi-directional relationship. And this relationship the relationship between the heart and the brain. Both have to work in symphony, in the rhythm. If your heart is saying something else and your brain is saying something else, you cannot be happy. You cannot be happy. You have to sync. You have to realign. You have to reorient your thinking, your decision, your reasoning as per your beliefs, as per your virtues. Then only you will be happy in the long term. Now I'll be talking about the neuro-linguistic programming, which claims that by changing the language or by certain patterns of language, you can change the neural patterns. This map is very appealing to me. This is the reality. They said a territory. This is the actual reality which is there in the world, which we see. Any of us will see. Acha, one thing I want to mention is there a particular object. No two of us will see same. Even a bottle of water. No two of us will see the same. We can see if the bottle is blue, we can see it is blue. But the blueness of that blue bottle will be different for all of us. For all of us. I mean it, for all of us. So suppose this is the territory, this is the blue bottle. And what each of us will see is not that blue bottle, something other based on maps, our beliefs, and certain neural connections inside our brain. Each reality will have a different effect on us, all of us individually. The structure of experience is as follows. External world, territory, through our senses it comes to us. External stimuli comes to us, to our brain, through the five senses. Some filtering is done beforehand. Before our brain processes it, some filtering is done beforehand because our brain has a limited processing capacity. This is our innate design. This is how we are designed. This is how our brain is designed. This filtering consists of three major aspects. One is generalization. We generalize the thing. Suppose I am a senior professor at IRITEM Lucknow and I give good lectures on rail vehicle dynamics. Some of you will generalize that sir will also be giving a good presentation on happiness and stress management. This is generalization. Other is distortion. I suppose someone is unhappy with my earlier lecture. He will be preoccupied in his mind that this lecture will also be not good. So he will be deleting certain of the realities. And third one is distortion. So again, we distort the reality on the basis of the maps inside the beliefs inside our brain or mind. So after this three filtering, the information reaches the processor of our brain. Then it is converted into thoughts. Then we immediately assign meaning to that thought. And that meaning gives emotions or feelings to that thought. And then we act. So now through that external world stimuli, all this process and we act. Now how we act makes the next mind map for future. This mind map is modified for my future action. So what we realize, what you realize, what each of us, every of us realize is the external stimuli, kya dikha, what we have seen, and what emotions came, and how we act. These three things we realize actually. External stimuli, emotions, and action. The most important is how and what meaning we have given to it. And this filtering and maps and thoughts, these all we delete in our processing. And this meaning assignment is very important. And this whole process take a fraction of a second. And we do it, and we do it a million of times in a day. This complete process, we do it a million of times in a day. And NLP practitioners say that by certain practices, I will not explain them, certain practices, visual switch, auditory switch, kinesthetic switch. One example I will give, suppose one image, you think of something and it provides you stress, it gives you stress. So visual switch is that you imagine that photo inside your brain and you start dimming its brightness. You start reducing the size of that photo and again input it to your mind. It will change in your internal reality, your thoughts, your meanings, your emotions, and your action. Same stimuli, but different techniques so that your internal mind maps are changed and your response is also changed for the same external stimuli. And this thing not actually related to this stress or happiness, but long-term management of happiness. These three NLP perceptual positions are very important when we all are dealing with conflict management in our personal lives as well as in professional life. So this is the first position, self. This is the position when we are in our own body. Second position, other. When we are in the body of the other person, we are seeing the world, the situation, the experience through their eyes and hearing through their ears. This is the position of empathy, solicitation, and understanding of others. But they don't prescribe, it is not required to be there for a long. You go there for a second position, for a second, understand his condition and position, what he is feeling, and then come back. Come back to the third observer position. You see yourself, your position, and the second position also, the second person's position also, and then decide as an uninvolved third party or objective reporter. Suppose you are angry with you call your subordinate and you ask for some work and he replies you, and you suddenly become angry. What I want to say is, what NLP practitioners want to say is that take some time, go into his position and try to understand why is he acting like that, and then don't remain there for long. Come to a third position as an observer. You are as a boss, you are trying to get some work done for the benefit of railways or your organization, and he is refusing. So if it is possible to help him out, you help him out. Otherwise, you decide whatever you have to do for the benefit of your organization. So mind it again, there are three perceptual positions. Most of our conflicts in our personal lives and professional lives will be sorted out if you understand these three things. For 4 seconds, for only 5 to 10 seconds, you want to get angry on someone, just try to understand his or her position. And then third position, what you are doing, what he or she is doing, then what an observer will say. Then decide accordingly. Our mind, our brain is having many cognitive biases, a number of cognitive biases and predictable cognitive biases. I have gone to these three books: The Thinking Fast is Slow, written by the Nobel laureate Daniel Kahneman, then Predictably Irrational, and Blink. They have listed so many cognitive biases. What we think, we are very rational, we are not rational. And that too, we are predictably irrational. Anybody can tell what we will decide, not rationally and irrationally. So our brains are evolutionary conditioned to prioritize negativity for survival. You see it. Bad is more stronger to us than good, because we have been wired for that only. Suppose I am a hunter and there is a prey for the suppose a deer is going and I am not able to kill that deer, so that it will not affect me much. But suppose if a lion is near me and if I miss the lion will kill me. So that I have to be more attentive towards the bad things. So we have been wired strongly for bad things. Our cerebellum or our amygdala is wired for bad things. We must have understood it in our daily lives. If somebody does a negative thing to us, he has to do a lot to mitigate that negative thing. The author says that they have to do 5 positive acts to counterbalance 1 negative act. And the last thing, why bad is stronger than good? The amygdala, which is the emotional center of our brain, it takes fraction of seconds to get activated. 1 by 38 seconds or 1 by 20th second, exact figure they all claim differently in the different sources, but fraction of seconds take to get activated. So the danger center, the emotional center, is activated all of a sudden. And your conscious mind, your logical mind, it takes 3 to 4 seconds to get activated. So it takes time for your conscious mind to get activated and to get charged. Till then, amygdala is in charge. So if you can delay the response as being suggested by your amygdala for 3 seconds, 4 seconds, or 10 seconds, your conscious mind will take over. Your conscious brain will take over the amygdala. On the contrary, while the bad is stronger than good, good doesn't last. Whenever we think of a goal, whenever we achieve some certain physical things, we are basically running on the hedonic treadmill. We quickly adapt to the good fortune and return to our baseline happiness level. As soon as we reach our target, we return to our baseline happiness level. And the second thing is that two of the authors have compared a lottery winner, one lottery winner who has won 2 crore rupees, say 2 crore rupees, a lottery, and one person who was paralyzed below his neck. And assume the level of happiness after 1 year for both of them. The research says the both of them will be equally happy. The one who has the person who has won the lottery ticket, all of a sudden his expenditure will rise, his enemies will increase, his relatives will go distance because he will feel that he is very rich. People will start suing him to get his money. So after 1 year, his money will be dwindled. So his happiness level will be coming to the base level again. On the other hand, the paraplegic who was paralyzed below his neck level. So initially you will feel that he is doomed. But he will do certain things, he will do certain exercises. After certain days, his one finger will start moving, he will feel happy. After a few more days, his whole hand will start moving, he'll feel more happy. And even after some more days, some other part of the body will start moving. So from the very down happiness level, he will again reach his baseline happiness level after 1 year. So whether you win a lottery or you face some very gross calamity, rest assured that your happiness level will return to the baseline level after a certain time. And one more important thing, the journey is more rewarding than the destination. You enjoy more pleasure while moving towards a journey. And when you reach the goal, it is not that much, but it is only a small bit of relief that you get when you reach the top. When you acquire your goal, it is only a sort of sigh of relief. I will be showing it in after some of the slides. Then the other important bias is misinformation bias. So our memory and perception of an event are altered, and this is we are consciously aware that it may be wrong, but we follow the suit itself. And this is not our fault. This is how our brain neural networks are designed to use association and pattern finding to organize information. For giving an example of misinformation effect, imagine you witness a minor car accident where two vehicles have just bumped into each other. But a policeman comes and he asks, how fast were the cars going on when they smashed into each other? He uses the word smashed. As soon as he uses the word smash, started recurring in your mind, and using misinformation effect, your brain will overwrite or may overwrite the original memory of the minor bump. After certain days or a week later, you pass through that site and you see certain glass pieces there, and you will correlate that these pieces of glass must have been occurred due to that when the two cars and the two vehicles smashed into each other. There was no smashing actually, and there were no glass there. But this is the effect of your misinformation effect. So why I have chosen these two effects? Because these two effects are the major effects which are responsible for our long-term chronic stresses and the level of our happiness. The negativity bias. Our mind is naturally inclined towards negativity. It will try to pull us towards negativity. And the other is misinformation effect. Many of our problems, many of our perception of others are due to this misinformation effect. We think that 2 plus 2 is 4, but we have made, our brain has made 2 plus 2 equals to 7, or 2 plus 2 is equal to 1. Now we'll move towards the excerpts from this Behave, Robert Sapolsky books. It presented interdisciplinary biological framework for understanding human behavior. He has spent 21 years with baboons in Kenya. He has tried to explain the behavior in a certain situation of a human being by a cross biological framework using neurobiology, endocrinology, genetics, and culture. And he has proved it that we are less rational and autonomous decision makers than we like to think. That we think that we are very rational and autonomous. We are not that. With our decision making is derived by some implicit and subterranean forces. And he also says that the factors, the neurobiological factors, the endocrinological factors, the genetic factors, and the cultural factors, they are not the deterministic factors. They only provide the propensities, potentials, and they depend upon the actual behavior, what a human or what I or you will, how you behave in a particular circumstances will also depend on the context dependency. A behavior, he examines the behavior across vast time scales from what happened a second before to what happened millennia before. A person, he gives an example. A person is holding a pistol in his hand and he is standing in a room, a dark room. All of a sudden, he sees a big shadow coming towards him. So whether he will instantly pull the trigger and take a shot, or he will wait, or what he will do. All options are available. And what action he will take will depend on all those factors which were discussed in the earlier slide. Like this. He will pull the trigger, will depend on which neurotransmitter is active in his brain a second before. And what are the environmental stimuli? If suppose he is standing in a room which is very badly smelling, so chances are there that he will pull the trigger. And if he's standing in a room where smell, if good fragrance is there, the chances that he will not pull the trigger. This was seconds to minutes before. Then what happens hours to days before? Which hormones are active in his brain? If testosterone is flowing through the brain and body, he will feel more aggressive and he will pull the trigger. If oxytocin is running through his body, he will be feeling more compassionate and will wait for some time. He will not pull the trigger. This was hours 2 days before, and then again weeks 2 years before. How was his experience during his life? Whether he is having traumatic experiences, whether he is having good experiences, how his upbringing has been, will depend what action he will take. Childhood, how his mother has treated him or her. If mother has cared for her or him, if his or her peers are good, he or she has got good friends, he will behave in a different way. If mother has not given him or her care, he will respond in a different way. Then what genes he is having, then he will respond in a different way. And it will be stretched to millions of years. Ultimately, what our ancestors were. If our ancestors were growing rice, so we will be having collective working genes in our brain, in our body. Because cultivating rice involves group working. So we will be having more compassion. And the chances that we pull the trigger will be lesser. And suppose we will be involved in wheat cultivation. It is individualistic culture. So there are chances more that we will pull the trigger. So genes pass on to our body through millions of years. Right? Suppose our ancestors were pastoral dwellers. So honor killings were there. So I will be aggressive, and chances that if I am there, I will pull the trigger. The author gives this example. So he gives three objects in the figure: a monkey, a bear, and a banana. And he says group 2 of them. So most of the people who live in American side, who used to cultivate wheat, individualistic culture. They will group monkey and bear in a group because they both are animals. They both are animals, right? And if we ask this question, similar question to a human being, to a man who is living in East Asian country, where rice is grown, where the collective culture was there in our ancestors, then he will group the monkey and the banana in one group because the monkey eats the banana. So here is the difference in our behavior depending upon what our ancestors were doing millennia of years back. And this is the most important neurotransmitter, dopamine, for our happiness level and our stress level. So it derives the affective state of arousal and pursuit, and by design to our ancestors, whenever there were nearby rewards, so it was released and it did drive us, our ancestors, to hunt for food. And it is a central neurotransmitter to reward, pleasure, anticipation, and motivation. And whenever we do a thing which gives us pleasure, they are sent as a reinforcement signals to strengthen or weakness synapses in the basal ganglia. The basal ganglia is a part in our limbic brain which is responsible for our habit formation. So if you do good things, then good habits are formed inside the basal ganglia through the fluctuations of dopamine levels. And if you do bad things, the same thing happens, and the addiction will be formed inside our basal ganglia. This is the dopaminergic system, how it works. The author, that is Sapolsky, gave an example of a monkey. A cue is given, window, the curtains are drawn out, the light comes, monkey gets a signal, and he pushes a lever. He pushes or pull down a lever, and as soon as he pulls down the lever, he gets some certain reward, juice or anything. So if we see the trend of dopamine release in his brain, it will like this. On x-axis, it is the time, and on y-axis is the dopamine level, and this green line is the base dopamine level. So this is your base happiness level, the dopamine base level. Now this monkey comes into, this is the base level of you or the monkey who is in the experiment. Now on the x-axis there is a cue or signal, the coming in of light, and then action, his pulling or pushing of trigger or lever, and that what he receiving of the juice by the monkey. So can you imagine in which portion, during which portion the dopamine will rise to maximum? I will tell you. It will remain at the base level before the cue. As you open the window, it rises a lot. Then between the action and reward, it again stabilizes. And when reward actually attains actual reward, it is only a small spike, only a relief. So maximum amount of dopamine is secreted when between the cue and the action. What I want to say is that maximum amount of dopamine is released in anticipation. In anticipation, not when you actually attain the reward. And now we change the scenario a bit. Now author included certain uncertainty in the picture. Light comes, he presses the lever, 50% of the time he gets a reward, the juice, and 50% he doesn't receive the juice. Now what you will say that about the dopamine level, increase in dopamine level? Will it reduce or increase? 50% of the time he gets the reward, and 50% of the time he doesn't get the reward. I will show you. This is the base level before the cue, and after that, similar amount of dopamine increase. The surprise is here. Between the action and reward, the dopamine spike is more. Between the action and reward. Then it follows the same pattern. So if there is certain uncertainty in your reward, your overall dopaminergic system, the overall dopamine release is more. But this is true only for 50%. If we reduce it further, like 25% you get the juice, it reduces. So, this dopaminergic system, there are basically 4 pathways inside your brain for these dopaminergic systems. I will be discussing here 2 because 2 are example for us: the mesolimbic and the mesocortical. Mesolimbic means going through limbic brain, amygdala, and mesocortical means going to the cortical, prefrontal cortex, our logical brain. So this is the schematic. The pathway shown in this maroon or magenta color is the pathway of dopamine systems in the mesolimbic pathway. VTA is the place where the dopamine is made. Tegmentum. It is known as tegmentum. VTA is tegmentum, where the dopamine is made. And NAC is the place, accumbens, it is called accumbens, where this is secreted finally. Dopamine is produced in VTA and is secreted in NACA, the graph I have shown there in this graph. So the dopamine release system follows the same pattern if this mesolimbic pathway of dopamine system is activated. If you want to activate this longer pathway where the dopamine is released in your cortex, this blue one, mesocortical pathway. Achha, one more thing. There is a temporal discounting also for immediate gratification. That why we all are fallen prey towards immediate gratification. Suppose you decided that you will not eat beyond these calories because you have to get slimmer, right? But all of a sudden, jalebis come in front of you, and you take that. You forget your long-term goal, and you fall prey to the temporal discounting. So this system has an inbuilt system for temporal discounting. Temporal discounting means, suppose a goal is there to occur after X time. The dopamine release is X. Now, if you delay that goal from X to 2X, the dopamine is reduced not to X by 2, X by 4. The more distant you place your goal, less is the dopamine release if you only rely on the mesocortical pathway. That's why we fall prey to immediate gratification. This mesolimbic pathway is activated, and we give this temporal discounting. We are not able to imagine our far future, and so that's why we fall prey to the immediate gratification. If you want to follow this one, altogether more amount of dopamine. If you take the complete picture, in the complete picture, you will be having more dopamine release. But yes, between Q and signal, you will be having a lesser amount of dopamine release. So this happens when you set a long-term goal for yourself. When you set a long-term goal for yourself and keep progressing towards that a little bit every day, then the overall amount of dopamine release is more. But for that, you have to activate this mesocortical pathway. There are 2 parts of our cortical brain, the prefrontal cortex. 2 main parts responsible for habits, for behavior. So one is ventromedial prefrontal cortex. It is the emotional brain. See, our prefrontal cortex, which I told you is our executive brain, is also having certain parts which are related to emotions. So ventromedial PFC looks after emotions, connected to amygdala, and it controls the pathway of immediate gratification. And the dorsolateral PFC, when this activates the mesocortical pathway, and it is responsible for our goal-oriented behavior or delayed gratification behavior. So for some people, by birth, the dorsolateral PFC is strong, is bigger, so that their goal-oriented behavior is better. For some persons, by birth, this ventromedial PFC is bigger and more active, so that their tendency is more towards the immediate gratification. But again, nothing to worry. I have told throughout my presentation, I will be telling throughout my presentation, it all depends upon the environmental context. We can change all these things through our life at any stage of life by changing our thoughts, by changing our actions, by changing our behavior, by changing our experiences. We can change all these. This dopamine system is bidirectional and with habituation. Bidirectional means that reimagine that juice photo. If suppose by pushing the after pushing the lever, he gets two glasses of juices, not one. So the burst of dopamine will be doubled, right? So if he gets 2 glasses of juices, the amount of dopamine release will be doubled, and this is bidirectional also. Agar if we reduce the amount of juice from 1 glass to half a glass, the amount of dopamine will be released will be halved. And again, this habituation clause is also there. If you keep on doing that, you give him a light, and the monkey presses a lever or button, and he gets a juice. After some time, for the same reward, the amount of dopamine will be reduced. So the what author want to say, the same activity which is giving you more pleasure today will not be giving the same amount of pleasure tomorrow, or after 3 days, or after 7 days. So it is relative, not the absolute size of the surprise that matters over a 10-fold range of reward. Suppose if my salary is 1 lakh rupees, and if it is increased from 1 lakh to 1,20,000, I will not feel that happy if my original salary was 10,000 and it increased to 20,000 from 10,000. The absolute amount is bigger in the first case, but the relative amount is bigger in the second case. I will feeling more happy in the second case. And about this habituation, it is not our fault. It is not our flaw. It is how we are designed. It is how our brain is designed. Because the same dopamine generic system or the dopamine system has to work when we are looking for external reward, when we are looking for studies, when we are looking for our meetings, when we have food, like when we talk to when we give hug to our children. In all the situation, the same dopamine system is activated. So it continues to keep itself habituating. It is by design. It's not our fault. We are not at fault for this, that the same amount of event is not giving happiness after certain days, the same event. It is not our fault. It is how we are designed. And the other neurotransmitter serotonin is basically when we actually receive a what secreted, triggering a state of low arousal and satiation. In humans and other mammals, low levels of serotonin are associated with elevated aggression. The people who are associated with depression, normally the psychiatrists give them amount of serotonin to intake. And it enhances dopamine's effects on goal-directed behavior. So it's a combination of serotonin and dopamine for goal-directed behavior. Moving towards hormones, I have told you oxytocin and vasopressin, they facilitate mother-infant bond formation and monogamous pair bonding. They decrease anxiety and stress, enhance trust and social affiliation, and make people more cooperative and generous. So basically, when you are committed to others, when you are in strong relationships with others, maybe your colleagues, maybe your boss, maybe your family members, oxytocin and vasopressin are released more, and you are more happy in the long term. You are more happy in the long term. You have decreased anxiety and stress in the long term. So if you ask me, I would prefer oxytocin to dopamine. If I am getting dopamine in addition to oxytocin, it is good for me. If I have one choice, I would prefer oxytocin. So whether he will pull the trigger or not, it will depend upon so many factors. I will not go into details about so many factors. Now, coming to the main topic, the preliminaries have ended now. I will come to stress management, which most of you are looking for. How we can tame the amygdala. I have not used the term shutting the amygdala. Why? Because amygdala is not only responsible for our negative emotions, it is also responsible for our positive emotions. If we shut down the amygdala or if we remove the amygdala, our happy feelings will also be gone. Okay? So how the mild stress is converted into chronic stress? So mild stress is like this, like the strings of a guitar or a violin. So they are stressed, they are tightened slightly. If we try to stretch it more, it will break down. Like a fire alarm. If it buzzes once a day for a minute, it will give us mild stress and we will reoccupy our seats and we will again doing our work. If it buzzes all along the day, it will give us chronic stress. So there are certain thresholds when the temporal stress, the small stress is converted into chronic stress. So the mild stress is characterized by acute mobilization of energy that lasts for second 2 minutes. It is a good stress that enhances this brain function. Like when we ride a 3-minute roller coaster ride, that much stress gives us pleasure. But if this is extended, this roller coaster ride is extended to half an hour or 1 hour, it will give us chronic stress. And when it will become chronic stress depend upon individuals. For some people, it will convert to chronic stress in minutes, for some in hours, for some in days, and for some in months. What it does, the chronic stress, it causes atrophy of hippocampal dendrites. I have explained it earlier. So your hippocampus is damaged and your memory ability is reduced. And there is a psychological context. So a little bit amount of challenge, a loss of control. For a small amount of time, we are happy to relinquish the control. Like for some difficult chess move or plot twist in the movie. A little bit of stimulation, a little bit of loss of control, we love it. We love it. It stimulates us. But when this loss of control prolongs, it provides us psychological stress. Because now we are not feeling engaged, we are feeling anxious, neurotic, and paranoid. Our brain thinks that we will be completely thrown out of our homeostatic balance. It's the responsibility of hypothalamus to maintain this homeostatic balance. All our organs perfectly working in harmony. It's the hypothalamus whose responsibility is to maintain the homeostatic balance inside our body. There is individual variability. There is no universal moment which when stress turns bad, because the transition point on the inverted U is highly individuated. In other words, we all have a different amount of that inverted U curve. Our limits will be different. What one person finds to be wonderful stimulation, a hobby, other may perceive as a nightmare. Well, depending on that, left hemisphere is strong, right hemisphere is strong, ventral cortex is strong, or dorsolateral ventromedial cortex strong, or dorsolateral cortex strong. But this all can change. I am again repeating, this all can change through changing your thoughts, your beliefs, your behaviors. And how to take control of amygdala, how to tame down. I have taken messages from John V. Arden. This is the natural way when how amygdala works. Suppose you see a danger through your eyes. There are two pathways. One is through eyes to thalamus, and then to the visual occipital lobe of your cortex, and then through amygdala. Then amygdala decides your parasympathetic or sympathetic response, your nervous system to act. But there is a shortcut also. One shortcut is there from visual thalamus to amygdala. So sometimes what happens that this activity is prior to that. In most of the times, amygdala is activated prior to our visual cortex is activated. In the right hand figure, suppose you are walking, it is dark, you are walking in park, and all of a sudden you see a big shadow of this shrub. So your amygdala will all of a sudden warn you. Again, your heart will start racing up, your eyes will be dilated, all your glucose will be shifted towards brain and your muscles to run away. all this, your sympathetic nervous system will be activated. But after 2 seconds, 3 seconds, your PFC will also be activated. Hippocampus will tell that this looks like, based on previous memory, this looks like nothing like but a shrub. Then she's the shrub actually, and his PFC says no, this is a shrub only. And parasympathetic nervous system start working, and sympathetic nervous system is shut down. This is how it automatically works. The problem is that when we keep on activating our amygdala or sympathetic neural system through our thoughts, through our thinking. So there are two systems which orchestrate this life-saving response. One is the autonomic nervous system, the body's automatic control panel, where the sympathetic nervous system starts acting. Another is the HPA axis. I will be explaining in the next slide. The hypothalamus tells pituitary gland something, pituitary gland tells adrenal gland something, and cortisol is released. So the autonomic nervous system is activated and the HPA axis is activated. And suppose these all are activated by this amygdala only. And suppose you know that there is no real danger and you are activating both of them through your thoughts only. And most of the time we activate the autonomic nervous system, the SNS and HPA through our thoughts only. Then we have to take action to shut down this SNS and to start the PNS, parasympathetic nervous system, and to shut down the HPA axis. John B. Arden has told certain methods how to shut down the HPA axis and how to shut down the SNS. So this is amygdala. When the amygdala senses a danger, it signals hypothalamus. Hypothalamus releases a hormone known as CRH. Pituitary gland in turn releases a hormone known as ACTH. And adrenal gland secretes cortisol, like this. There are, if the release of cortisol is prolonged, it means that this HPA axis are not shut down by itself. There are two harmful effects. One, the amygdala triggers the liver to make more glucose available in the bloodstream, so that the glucose is stopped in all non-essential organs like your digestive system and tissues, and is diverted to your brain and legs and limbs, so that you can run faster, you can fight better, you can think better. Basically, it is a long-term strategy for insulin resistance. If you remain stressed for long, and there is a huge amount of cortisol for long in your body, it starts converting protein also into glycogen and begins to store fat. For your future imagined dangers. So if a person is continuously in chronic stress, the chances is that he will become fat. And the other harmful effect is that loss of memory. How? The hippocampus has many cortisol receptors. So under normal circumstances, these receptors receive the cortisol and try to turn down the HPA axis. But when you keep on thinking about one thing, then the cortisol production is excessive and prolonged, and the hippocampus receptors themselves shut down. The receptors think that now we can't do anything, and they are shut down. They are shut down, and hippocampus then begins to atrophy. It begins to be damaged, and so your memory does damaged. And unfortunately, the reverse happens for the amygdala. It swells, it becomes larger inside, and it becomes more sensitive. In future, you will be disturbed more often with smaller amount of disturbances also, because you have swelled your amygdala and reduced your hippocampus. Right? Hippocampus provides the basis to your PFC that the actual danger is not there on the basis of your memory. Hippocampus is damaged, there is nobody to support your PFC. And to make the matter worse, amygdala is expanded, it is swollen, it is in charge now. So it's a vicious cycle, and you are always in stress. Now the method how to tame the amygdala and shut down the HPA axis. So I have told you that your left frontal lobe, your left hemisphere, it is involved in constructive work, for order, for reasoning, and your right brain is involved in your emotional thinking. So your right brain along with the amygdala causes you emotional distress. If you want immediate relief, you start taking action from your left frontal lobe. Means you start constructing anything. You start doing certain action which requires your left frontal lobe to come into action. The left frontal lobe promotes positive emotions. The left prefrontal lobe and the hippocampus, they work together to tame the amygdala and shut down the HP axis. So how can you activate your left PFC? Do anything constructive, do anything challenging, do anything which requires reasoning and logical. What I do, I start making presentations. What I do, I start playing badminton again. Anything which engages my mind constructively. There would be something in your life. If it is not there, please develop, which gives you pleasure while doing it. So whenever negative thoughts come to your mind, you engage your left frontal lobe. You start doing something constructive. And it may be as small as drawing something, doodling on paper, writing something in journal. As small as these things can help you in shutting down the HP axis. I have tried it, and you can also try it. Basically, how to tame your amygdala? So the problem is as that if you are continuously remaining stress is that your amygdala is always pressed the panic button without any real stress or stress. Prolonged cortisol is there, and your amygdala is hypersensitive, and your fight or flight response is always on. Cortisol is always there, and this is always on. Your heart rate is always increasing. Your blood pressure is always increasing. Your muscles are always in tension. And what is the way out? The way out is that take constructive action that activates your left frontal lobe, which helps tame the amygdala. Like this in the infographic, the person there is making a presentation, writing something like what I do. Use gradual exposure. The situation which provide you fear, anxiety, face them. Don't run away from them. And finally, which most of the authors have recommended, activate your relaxation response. Deep, slow breathing to engage your parasympathetic nervous system, which calms you down. Your heart rate gets down, your blood pressure gets down, and your muscle tension gets down. You take these three measures to take some constructive action for short-term measure, use gradual exposure for long-term measure, and do meditation. And if you're not able to do meditation, whenever stress comes to you, try deep, slow breathing. Whenever you try deep, slow breathing, it strengthens your PNS system, parasympathetic system. So on one hand, by taking constructive action, you activate your left frontal lobe, and while this deep breathing, you activate your PNS. And you take care of your amygdala, you tame down your amygdala. So most of the negative stresses in most of us are caused due to negative narratives or negative beliefs that have built for us and for people around us. Any thought or experience, the emotional tone and perspective, what we give to it, if we give it more emotional tone and more perspective, the same neural path will be wired inside our brain. The same neural pathways will be strengthened. The more we describe our ongoing experience in a particular way, the stronger the neural circuits that represent those thoughts will become. Same experience, if you describe in a positive way, they will activate the positive neural circuits. Same experience, if you describe in your brain in a negative way, they will activate the negative neural circuits. Right? So your narratives are basically reinforced thoughts, which you continuously think over for yourself and for others. Like for yourself, this is hard. Some work you are continuously thinking, this is hard. Now this will become hard, and you will continuously in stress. I wonder whether I am going to survive. You keep on thinking this, I wonder whether I am going to survive. And you will continuously in stress due to this negative narrative. It looks like this is going to turn out badly. You are going for a meeting, you are going for a presentation, you are thinking in advance. It looks like this is going to turn out badly. So this is a narrative which you are building. This is a negative narrative which you are building inside yourself, which is responsible for stress. So the previous techniques like engaging your left side hemisphere and deep breathing, those provide short-term benefits in stress management. Changing the narratives, they provide long-term benefits in stress management. So there are three ways to modify your thoughts. First of all, identify your automatic thoughts. Notice your self-talk, the continuous talk that is going inside your mind. These are the short surface level thoughts that flash throughout the day in your mind. Like suppose you are going for a meeting and you are having this type of talk in your mind. Oh no, I have to meet new people. So what you have to do, you are feeling stressed. Oh, I have to meet new people. You can change the same thought to, oh no, I have to meet new people. Great. It is an opportunity to meet interesting people. I will be meeting interesting people. The same situation, the impending situation, and you have modified your self-talk from a negative to a positive one. Question your assumptions. The second step. Like you have assumed in your mind that I am not good with strangers. I am not good with my family. I am not good in playing badminton. So this is an assumption that you have made in your mind. These are the theories and rules you live by. You can change them also. Suppose you have an assumption, I am not good with strangers. You can change it to I may be shy, but I find meeting new people exciting. And when, okay, I am not good in the first instance. If somebody meets me, he finds me not interesting. But if he meets me a number of times, he will find me exciting and interesting. Likewise, the same personality, the name situation, you can change your assumptions. Finally, your core beliefs. Challenge your foundation, your core beliefs. Question your beliefs. Is it a fact or is it only opinion? Start asking questions to yourself. Suppose you have a negative belief, I am incapable of forming new relationships. Ask yourself, it is a fact or it is an opinion? Can it be false? Yes. Start seeking positive evidences. So instead of having the belief, I am incapable of forming new relationships, start having belief that I am a good person and people will agree when they get to know me. Same you, but different core beliefs. No hemisphere is good or bad. They both work in tandem. The right hemisphere makes the overall picture, overall narrative. The left hemisphere can give a positive spin to that narrative. So use your left hemisphere to make a positive narrative. The challenge isn't to live a life without stress, but to find the wisdom to respond appropriately. Like this two circles of Stephen Covey. One is the circle of concern, the bigger circle. And one is the circle of influence that we can control. Always concentrate on the circle of influence. The things that you can control, that you can modify, that you can change. There is no point on concentrating on your circle of concern. The things are affecting you, but you can't do anything for them. So you will see a surprise when you keep on focusing on the circle of influence. You will find, Stephen Covey says that you will find that this circle of influence starts getting bigger and bigger. And your circle of concern starts getting smaller and circle of influence starts getting bigger. So the main point is that focus on only the circle of influence. Avoid and ignore the circle of concern. Now the second part of the presentation, which interests me more, how to achieve happiness in life. First of all, I went through this book, The Happiness Project, written by Gretchen Rubin, and I got certain things which I used to read somewhere else also, like enjoy now, escape the rebel fallacy, like enjoy the process, sleep better, exercise better, you tackle nagging tasks first, and act more energetic, and do new things, do something creative things. This nothing new to me, and there was no much scientific basis. Then I searched for more sources. Then I came across these 5 books. 3 of them I purchased, because I think that these are the life-changing books. Mihai checks Mihai, Flow, Jonathan Haidt, The Happiness Hypothesis, and the 10% Happier from Dan Harris. And these two books on the right side, I am having the PDF copy, and I have gone through the PDF one. So he is Jonathan Haidt. He has given a scientific happiness formula, has merged ancient wisdom with modern truth. Look at this picture.
Yes,
There
sir.
is one elephant running and one rider on that elephant. Leave this picture for the while. Now, our mind is divided into two parts: conscious mind and subconscious mind. Certain psychologists like Sigmund Freud they call it as unconscious mind. Carl Jung calls it unconscious mind. So our thinking brain is only 5% of the mind. Logic, reasoning, creativity, will, faith is only 5% of the mind. And 95% of the mind is our subconscious mind. Habits, behaviors, beliefs, narratives, and perceptions are built in the subconscious mind. So by only will, faith, logic, reasoning, we cannot change our beliefs, our habits, our behaviors, our perceptions. We have to go inside our subconscious mind if we want to change all or any of them. And the seat of the subconscious mind is at the limbic brain. And where it ends, nobody knows. It comprises of the limbic brain, the cerebellum, and the complete body. Whenever you are stressed, your stress is not only constrained in the emotional brain. It is accumulated in the complete body. Complete body. Whatever trauma, whatever happy things you have experienced is accumulated throughout your body, starting from the limbic brain. So if we want to do something long term, long lasting, you have to change your subconscious mind. Now I will again show this picture. The rider is the conscious mind, only 5%. And the subconscious mind is the elephant. And the rider is riding the elephant. And frustration, unhappiness, stress come due when the both minds are not in sync, not in order. This is the cover page, front page of the book. Rider is our conscious mind. We want to wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning, but my body says you are tired. Keep down. The Roman poet Ovid lamented. He said, I see the right way and approve it, but follow the wrong. Alan Weiss has said that logic makes you think, but emotions make you act. So you see the right way and know what is right and wrong, but you follow the wrong because your elephant is saying for that. The elephant is far stronger. Why? It consists of 95% of your mind and it is evolved earlier. Some of the authors says that this conscious mind, this rider, is meant to serve the elephant. So it is okay. When this elephant is in neutral condition, then whatever the rider say, the elephant will follow. When the elephant has its own desires, rider wants to do something new, something better, elephant will not follow him. Elephant will not follow him. Elephant will take his own decision. Your subconscious mind will take its own decision. And what remains with your rider or the conscious mind? To justify that decision. We unconsciously or subconsciously, whatever decision we take, the decisions, most of the decisions are taken by this elephant only. And our conscious mind is only just justifying that decision. Is only justifying that decision. And we don't know, we don't realize that we are only justifying the decision taking by our subconscious mind, the elephant. Sometimes we say the gut feeling. That's why some people, some person you have not interacted with, he looks good to you. You make friend of him or her. And some person, he has not done anything bad to you, but you don't like him. Because elephant says that. So remember this elephant. You have to keep this elephant in order and happy if you want to remain happy for long term. Whatever you do for pleasure, for short time enjoyment, you're trying to make the rider happy. That is only 5%. The 95% elephant If you want to make him happy, you want to make him contented, you want to make him enjoy, you have to do certain things which I will be showing you. So this is the rider, conscious control thought, the planner, the internal narrator, and there is an elephant, most of it, 95%. Your automatic processes, emotions, intuition, gut, and feelings. As you can see, the elephant decides mostly what you have to do. Again, negative bias, bad is stronger than good. That is our elephant, the subconscious mind only, which is more active, more aware towards the mouse, bad things, less active towards the good things. This is the first happiness hypothesis which Jonathan Haidt propounded. He used the term a chase after wind. Mind my words, a chase after wind. This was used by Ecclesiastes in the book Ecclesiastes. Solomon was a king in Jerusalem. He has all of things, houses, vineyards, silver, gold, many concubines. Yet his conclusion was bleak. He says that all was vanity and a chasing after the wind, and there was nothing to be gained under the sun. Having all this, he was still unhappy. So if you see the right side figure, if you achieve something good, there is temporary euphoria, the temporary rise in dopamine. After a certain time, you return to your baseline happiness, the hedonic treadmill. So there are two principles behind this feeling, the progress principle. The pleasure comes from making progress towards goals, not from achieving them. The adaptation principle, as soon as you reach the goal, it starts giving you pleasure. Please remember in your mind these two principles, the progress principle and the adaptation principles. You are having an old car. You want to purchase a new car. Of course, it will give you happiness during the progress till you complete the process. You purchase and you bring to your home the new car. But after certain time, say 7 days, 10 days, 1 month, you will again return back to your baseline happiness. You will vouch for a bigger car. You will vouch for a bigger house. You will vouch for anything else. No, you are not at fault. This is how you are designed. This is how we are designed. So always keep in your mind the progress principle and the adaptation principle. This is the hedonic treadmill. You desire something, you strive for it, you obtain it. You have pleasure, you adapt to this pleasure, you desire more, you again strive. So you keep on running throughout your life in this treadmill. Getting my point? You desire for something, you strive for that, you obtain it, you get pleasure, but after a certain amount of time, you adapt to it. Then you again desire more, then you again strive, you again obtain, you again there, you are keep on evolving in this hedonic treadmill. You keep running throughout your life in search of happiness. So what he prescribes is, you see, in all my infographics, you will see an elephant because I will emphasizing more on your subconscious mind. It's not about pleasure, it's about gratification, delayed gratification. Pleasure are short term, delights of the senses that fade quickly. Eating ice cream, going to a party, they fade quickly. They will give you instant pleasure, but they fade quickly. Gratification, the long term pleasure, doing something in flow, like you see, the violin, the guitar. If she's playing the guitar, her subconscious mind, the elephant, is also happy with her. She's in a state of flow, a long-term happiness. Right? So there are 3 ways to tame the elephant or to keep the elephant happy. The one is meditation, observe thoughts without judgment to break attachments. The second is cognitive therapy. Somebody is there to challenge your distorted thoughts and beliefs and retain them. I am a terrible father. Suppose I am having a belief that distorted that I am a terrible father. I am continuously in stress. Then somebody will help me. No, my beliefs are wrong. She fell. I will help her. Changing my thoughts. And the third is the medications. Change the elephant's baseline affective style directly. Changing the baseline directly by using medications like Prozac. But the problem is that these two are short-term. Till the time you take cognitive therapy, you are neutral. Till the time you take Prozac, you are neutral. But after that, you are again to your baseline level. And what about meditation? This is a long-term measure. Right? So if you take meditation, you will be able to tame the elephant, your subconscious mind, for a longer term. This formula I vouch for, which Jonathan Haidt has given to us. The happiness level depends upon S plus C plus V. S is your biological set point. Like all of us are born with a certain biological set point, depending upon our genes. So our baseline level is fixed. Some of us will be inherently more happy. Somebody of us, some people of us between us will be inherently less happy. This depends upon your internal set point, your biological baseline determined by your genes. This is not your hand, but this itself you can change by certain types of meditations. They claim that epigenetics is a branch of biology which is emerging these days. You can change your genes also. It is also not fixed. Having said that, this is a biological baseline. I will also say that this is not fixed entirely, but you have to take certain effects to reset it. Then come the C, the conditions of life. So most of the conditions of your life, like bigger house, bigger car, bigger wealth, those most of the conditions fell to the adaptation principle. After a certain time, you don't feel happier anymore. But there are certain conditions of life which give you long-term happiness, I will tell you. And then finally, there are the voluntary activities. The things you choose to do to tame your elephant. You will in your hands. That voluntary activities in your hands that you can change. As you cannot change easily, C, 60-70% is fixed. You can change only 30%. Will, you can change 100%. The voluntary activities. How? These are the conditions of life. If you are where you are living, if there is chronic intermittent noise, change that location. If where you are working there is chronic intermittent noise, you change that location. If you remove this intermittent choice, your long-term happiness will arrive to you. You reduce your commutation time, long-term happiness. Feeling of powerless. If you are feeling powerless at a situation, it will give you a lot of unhappiness. So there are two options available to you. Either you gain the powerfulness, you gain the control, or you let it go. If you do this, you will again feel happy. And the final and most important, relationships. You have to maintain good relationships in order to be happy. No matter what you do in your life, the research says if you're not having good relationships, interpersonal relations with your friend, with your family member, with your bosses, you will not be happy in long term. I'm not saying this. Jonathan Hayes is saying this on the basis of tens of years of research. He distinguishes between two types of loves, passionate love and companionate love. The passionate love, this graph, the dotted graph, drops 1 or 2 months and then it droops continuously. The companionate love, it rises slowly, but it maintains over years, 60 years. What I want to say is that for having long-term happiness, you need to have commitment, attachment, and certain rules and regulations between your among your relationships. So counterintuitive to the belief that freedom gives you happiness, certain type of binding gives you happiness, certain type of attachment gives you a happiness, certain type of commitment gives you long-term happiness. Yes, meditation, you meditate, you exercise, you learn a new skill, do what you are good at, you create something new, you show gratitude towards God, anything, to nature, anyone. You act kind to others. This is most important. I have taken this into bold. I have given this point to bold. It doesn't matter whether you believe in God or not. It's entirely your personal choice. But you have to connect to a higher being, either to your father, either to your mentor, either to your guru, either to nature, either to any intelligence, either to your own brain, either to your own subconscious mind. You have to connect to a higher being to remain happy in life, to keep your elephant in order. You have to connect to a higher being. It keeps your elephant in check if you keep yourself connected to a higher being. It may be God, it may be your guru, it may be your friend, it may be your elder one, anyone, but you have to connect to a higher being, higher to you. So he gives third dimension for happiness also. There are two dimensions. You have good relationships with your friends, strangers, and relationships, and you have good relationships with your bosses and subordinates. This is the third dimension. You have a divinity, elevation versus degradation feeling also. Divinity means connection to a higher being. So this is the happiness formula. H is equal to S plus C plus V. S is the set point. C is the condition of life. You can change certain conditions of life, and voluntary activities. These are entirely in your hand, so that your happiness level can be increased. It is in your hand. can be increased. Don't keep living at reduced happiness level. So the conclusion of this book is that happiness comes from between. Between means not from external world, physical things only, and not only from internal world, being spiritual or meditating. It comes from between. You ought to change certain your life conditions also, and you have to do certain actions to this. You cannot find or achieve happiness directly. It comes from getting certain conditions right. You and your elephant both have to be happy. It comes from 4 relationships: your rider and elephant, yourself and others, yourself and your work, yourself and something larger than yourself. So keep reminding yourself, if you want to be happy in longer term, you have to work on your 4 relationships between your rider and elephant, your subconscious mind and conscious mind, yourself and others, yourself and your work. Very important. If you're not happy at your work, not in flow at your work, very difficult for you to be happy in your personal life. And yourself and something larger than yourself. Connect to a higher being. The second source, the voice in my head. So this book is special for me because see at the title, How I Tamed the Voice in My Head, Reduce Stress Without Losing My Edge and Found Self-Help That Actually Works. A true story. It is a true story, not only a prescriptive one. So what he says is that there is incessant voice in his head thinking about past and future. The present is important, but your mind, your voice is always busy thinking about past, telling about past and future. He fainted in front of millions of audience in 2004. He's a anchor in a news program, ABC News, on American television. Then he tried everything. He tried drugs. He tried the gurus. He tries the what self-help industry. That's the book Secret and Manifestations. He tried. He met Dalai Lama. He tried everything, but he found the solution when he met a man named Mark Epstein. Mark Epstein was is a Harvard trained psychoanalyst, a student of Sigmund Freud, who uses psychoanalysis in tandem with Buddhist techniques, with the Buddhist thoughts. So it appealed Dan Harris a lot. So what is the Buddha's main thesis? In a world where everything is constantly changing, we suffer because we cling to things that won't last. We get attached to people and possessions that ultimately evaporate. So whatever we are clinging to will be ultimately evaporate. So he prescribes 2 methods. Dan Harris prescribes 2 methods. 10 minutes start, 5 minutes, 10 minutes meditation a day. And very important advice he has given. I have followed it in my life. Earlier, when I used to do meditation, when I tried to concentrate on my breath, then my thoughts used to wander. What he says is that it is natural. It is natural. Thoughts will wander, and his teachers also told him the same. You bring back your concentration on your breath. The mind wanders. You again bring back. Be self-compassionate to you. This is a natural process. It is not your fault. Whenever think of anything else, bring back to your breath. Think of anything else, bring back. Do this continuously for set a 10-minute timer. If you can't take out 10 minutes, set a 5 minutes timer. You don't need to clear your mind. You try to only bring your attention back to your breath over and over again. And the second prescription, this is a superpower. Don't respond. The left finger responding. Don't react, you respond. Don't instantaneously, because if you react, you act as per the orders of your amygdala. Your PFC has not activated till then. You take some time, 3 seconds, 4 seconds, 5 seconds, and then the PFC comes into action and your response is entirely different. So mindful is the ability to see what's happening in your head without getting carried by it. It creates a space between stimulus and response. So he prescribes a technique known as RAIN. You can follow it. RAIN is R is recognize, A is allow, I is investigate, N is non-identification. Allow that those thoughts, your feelings to come in. First you recognize which sort of thoughts are coming to you. It is anger, it is anxiety, you recognize it. Then you allow it. You allow it to sink in your body. Then you investigate what changes it is doing? Your heart rate is racing, your muscles are tightening up. Whatever changes it is making to your body, you investigate it. And then the final and most important stage, non-identification. If anger is coming to you, you think in your mind, yes, anger is coming to me, but by default, I am not an angry person. Keep telling to you, yes, anxiety is coming to my mind, but by default, I'm not an anxious person. So this gives you certain time to response, and your response will be entirely different from your reaction. Mark my words. So this is the warrior's way to being 10% happier. He said that 10% happier is the indicative rise in happiness level for a beginner. His teachers say that if you keep on practicing these all things, you can become more happy. So when I was taking a similar lecture of my professionals, IITS professionals, so some of them asked me, sir, by observing mindfulness, so how will we progress in life? How will the country develop? So for them, I this extracted this warrior's way prescribed by Dan Harris for being 10% happier. You need not to leave your aspirations. You need to do these 8 things. Don't be a jerk. You control your emotions at your workplace. Be compassionate. Meditate daily. Embrace humility. Embrace humility. Treat your subordinates also with humility. Use constructive language. So don't get into useless worrying. You indulge into productive diligence, not pointless anxiety. And don't show your subordinate that you are your science. Your niceness should be hidden inside yourself. Try for the best. Try for achieve, but don't give it personal attachment. Don't blame yourself. Don't punish yourself if you don't reach that goal. Go ignore yourself. And whenever you are stuck up in anxiety for a long time, you think in your mind, is it useful? Is it useful? If I'm thinking so much, is it useful? And what it will bring me in the future? Will it be important in future, what I'm thinking? You follow these 8 steps. These are the 10 ways for corporate warrior. While maintaining your edge, you can observe, you can maintain mindfulness. This book, what is a flow? Flow is basically the merging of awareness to consciousness. This incessant talking, he says, Mihail Csikszentmihalyi says it's psychic entropy. And when you are involved in something, you are grossly involved. You are doing that thing for the purpose of doing only. And you don't do anything else, even if you get more reward. You convert yourself in an auto-tele personality. You are doing that work, losing yourself, and you are becoming auto-tele personality. So you and your elephant are grossly involved in that activity. There are 8 elements of optimal experience. A challenging activity requiring skill. Whatever you do, it should be the required skill. The required challenge should be greater, a little bit greater than your skill you are having. The challenge should be a bit challenging for your skills. Then only you will feel flow. Your action and awareness will be merged. Your self will be gone. Goals. From moment to moment, you are having clear goals. Like someone is climbing a cliff. Moment to moment, he or she is noticing that I'm climbing higher and higher and higher. Immediate feedback. Immediate feedback is there. If you are climbing higher, you get to know that you are climbing higher. Immediate feedback. You are getting immediate feedback. Concentration on the task at hand. Whatever you are doing, you are concentrating yourself entirely on that. Whatever is happening elsewhere around you, it doesn't bother you anymore. Sense of control. Whatever you are doing, you are getting full control of them. Loss of self-consciousness. The concept of time, distance, environment loses its significance. Hours, transformation of time. Hours goes by and you don't realize how much time has passed and you are engrossed in that activity. When an activity is having all these 8 elements, it is said to bring into the flow. He also distinguishes between the pleasure and enjoyment. And this is the method he prescribes how to enter the flow channel. You see on the vertical scale, it's a skill level. On the horizontal scale, it is a challenge level. So for flow, you have to act in between. Your challenge level should be a bit higher than skill level. Then only this flow will occur. Whatever you choose the challenge a little bit more your than skill level. If you go to play badminton, choose your opponent wisely. Choose an opponent which is having more skill than you, a bit more skill. If it is a higher skill, more higher skill, then again boredom will be there. And if it is a lesser skill than you, then again boredom will be there. Likewise, if you select for a webinar that I have selected this topic for the webinar, this is not my baby. This is not my cup of tea. I am a specialist in real vehicle dynamics, but I wanted my challenge to be more than my skill levels, to be in the flow. Likewise, you want to gain or attain long-term happiness, you have to select your challenges more than your skill. And you continuously have to do this. Like when this webinar is over, I will try to create one more presentation on any such life skills type of thing. I will keep on challenging myself so that I can grow in the longer term. Flow leads to growth. The second last source, the paradox of choice, when more is less. See, I am always placing elephant with the rider. So what we think generally that when we are having a lot number of choices, we are happier. No. The research says it leads to analysis, paralysis, regret, and anxiety. The more number of choices we have, the more anxious we have, more we regret. How? The author says that a few years ago he went to buy a pair of jeans. Earlier, he went to a Levi showroom, any showroom, he selects a jeans and come out. Now when he goes, he found a lot of options like slim fit, easy fit, relaxed fit, baggy, extra baggy, stone force, AC was, or distressed, button fly, zipper fly, faded or regular. So he comes back. He doesn't buy anything, comes back confused. So likewise, our world is supermarket of overwhelming choices. He gives an example of American society: 285 varieties of cookies, 275 varieties of cereals, 175 different line system, 95 options for snack chips, 110 different televisions, 85 different options. Likewise, many options for all of the things. But are they able to make them happy? No. Since 1960, the divorce rate in USA has doubled. The teen suicide rate has tripled. And the violent crime rate has quadrupled. The clinical depression has more than tripled over the last two generations. We have increased the number of choices. We have increased the rate of clinical depression. In the last 40 years, per capita income in the US has more than doubled with no measurable increase in happiness. So if you go for maximizing your choice, there are two types of persons: maximizer and satisficer. The maximizers are the people who want to extract most of the thing. So they check all the alternatives. All the alternatives. Suppose if a maximizer wants to purchase a G's, he will try to check and simulate all the options, all the alternatives. You can easily imagine how much energy he will waste. And the satisficer is who is satisfied with good enough. Suppose I am a satisficer and I am happy with a certain fit of jeans and I keep wearing it, give me that fit. It meets my requirement and I am happy. I will stop searching. Like many of us, when you want to look TV, when you want to watch TV, you keep on surfing the channels. Try to maximize your choice. Many of us still satisfied, we are having good service, we are satisfied in service, they still look for alternate options to be a maximizer. The author says, based on research, the happiness level of satisficer is much more. The optimism level of satisficer is much more. Life satisfaction level of satisficer is much more. But depression level in maximizer is much more. The choice is with you, whether you want to be a satisficer or a maximizer. But what you do with the energy that you saved in making these decisions, you put it in the decisions which matter for you. Which matter for you. I will give you one example. Barack Obama, ex-president of USA, he used to wear the same suit every morning. So he has preserved that amount of decision making. He used all decision making energy into important decision for America. So he used to wear same suit every day. so that he doesn't have to waste his energy in the morning to select the suit what he have to wear. Yeah. So the author finally prescribed the solution isn't perfect pair of jeans. It's the peace of mind that comes from knowing good enough is more than enough. And he also gives 4 examples. These 4 type of comparisons are there always in the life. What you have and what you want. This gap will always be there. What you have, what others have. This gap will always be there. What you have, your best experience. What was your best experience? This gap will always be there. What you have and what your expectations are. These gap will all. So understand. This is how you are wired. This is how you are designed. These gaps will always be there. It is up to you how to reduce this gap to be happy. No matter what action you take in this physical world, these gaps will always be there. So what you can do is, you can avoid social comparison and lower your expectation. You want to be happy, avoid social comparison. Don't compare with others. Because today you are comparing with someone, tomorrow you will compare with someone else. There is no end to it. Lower your expectations. Today you are looking for buying a new car, tomorrow you are looking for buying a new house. So lower your expectations if you want to be happy in the longer term. The last and final source, Daniel Gilbert's Stumbling on Happiness. So whenever we try to think about our future, we have certain flaws. We have illusions of foresight which we don't realize. First thing is that we are the only animals, we must be plus primates that think about the future. So there are 3 illusions of foresight. One is the realism. There are certain missing details which our mind fills with. Our conscious mind doesn't know and he fills it with the details, missing details. The second is presentism. We project our current feelings into the future. Suppose we want to go for shopping grocery. If your this stomach is full, your tummy is full, you have eaten, you will purchase a small number of groceries. If you are hungry, you will purchase large number of groceries. Okay, so it depends upon your present feeling how you look for the future. And one more thing about realism is that when you imagine something in future, suppose you want, so you imagine that you are living in California in future. So when you imagine, you will imagine only the sunny beaches. You are taking sun bath on the beach. And you will not imagine all other things. Like you have to wash your clothes also, you have to do laundry also, you have to wash your utensils also. What other things? Other things you will not imagine. You will imagine only what you want to imagine. So certain details are missing in that imagination and certain are misfilled into that imagination. You only think, when you think about future, you only think about why. You want to be more happy, you want to go to California. But how you will live in California, that you don't think in present. And the third more thing is rationalization. Our body, our brain has a unique psychological immune system design to help us cope with bad outcomes, making them less painful than we activate. When we imagine today, something seems to be very bad today, when we imagine it in future. But when it actually comes, that adversity actually comes, its effect will not that significant, and our body has a psychological immune system for that. And that is activated only when there is no other choice left to us. If there is any other choice, this system is not activated. And we keep on thinking, we keep on stressing ourselves. Once we decide, no, this is the decision I had made, then our body will automatically take into all the adverse effect or any positive effects of it. We have a psychological immune system inbuilt in us. So don't worry about the future much. Whatever happens in the future, our body has an inbuilt mechanism which will take care of that. So 5 perspectives, 1 journey. All from all the 5 sources. The hypnosis hypothesis says it provides the core model, the divided self of rider and elephant. Always keep in mind, whatever you are thinking, you are only a rider. Who finally decides is the elephant. Flow describes the optimal state when rider and elephant work in perfect harmony. Paradox of choice shows that the modern world can paralyze the rider with too many paths. 10% happier offers a practical path of meditation for the rider to better manage the elephant. And stumbling of happiness reveals the rider's map of the future is, our imagination of the future is deeply flawed. Whatever I think about the future is deeply flawed. Always keep in your mind. So finally, what is the message gleaned from the happiness books? Happiness is a skill. Happiness is a way or a skill. You cannot get it directly. You have to inculcate it. By understanding the mind's flaws and our environmental challenges, we can apply these strategies to build more meaningful and fulfilling lives. Those who wish to sing always find a song. My final message.